Yes, I didn't have my regular mic on for that last one, so now we're back. Section 5 of Chapter 5, in which we're again going to be factoring trinomials, but now our letter A here, instead of being a 1, is a number other than 1. This adds a little more challenge to it and gives rise to the concept that we call guess and check, or trial and error. So here we have to do a lot of brainstorming and a lot of thinking and checking things out. All right, so let's see what we can figure out from this. Raise it up a little bit, give us some room. Again, some of these might still be prime, but much of what we learned applies. We have to look to see if it's in standard form, and it is. Is there any common factor? No. So again, we put two sets of parentheses. Now notice our A term here. Let me just write it here for you. A x squared plus bx plus c. That's standard form. So our A term is 2. And 2 is prime, so there's only the one possibility. But now we have a 10 here. So it could be, and you do this mentally, 10 and 1. No, that's not going to work. How about 5 and no, that's not going to work that way either. So we have to have an eraser handy here. That's where we get the guess and check. How about 5 and 2 this way? Okay, because now when we do our outers, we get a 4, inners a 9, and that's what we want. And they're all plus. Now again, if that were equal to 0, that would be a quadratic equation, and we would just equal each of our factors to 0, and we'd get a fraction there, but that's how you do it. All right, let's go on to B. It's in standard form. Now, when you have a 6 here in this first position, it could be a 6 and a 1, could be a 3 and a 2, could also be a 2 and a 3 and a 1 and a 6. But it looks like, to me, it's going to be and again, it's guess and check, a 3x and a 2x. Okay. Now here it's kind of tricky because this third term, our C term, is a negative 10. It's negative in the middle. So one of these is going to be positive and one is going to be negative. And it's going to be a 5 and a 2 or a 2 and a 5. So let's check it out. I see it. Do you see it here? A 2 and a 5. Because my outers are 15, 3 and a 5, that's 15. This is a 4, the difference is 11. And we need this one to be negative, and this one is plus. As you FOIL it, you can check to see if you got the right answer. And again, if this were an equation, it would work the way we've been doing the others. Okay, for something like C now, as we look at it, I know I can factor out an x squared out of each term. So this gives me 4x squared plus 23x plus 15. Standard form, factor out the greatest common factor, and now we're going to factor this if we can. Now, I didn't look at any of the answers because I want to sort of attack this like you folks are attacking it and kind of going over the strategy for doing it. Now, here we have a 4. So this could be like a 2. I'm going to just do some preliminary stuff here. 2 and a 2. Or it could be a 4 and a 1. But we're trying stuff out. So this is going, they're all positive, which kind of helps a little bit. So this could be a 5 and a 3, 23. Okay, I know this is not going to do it. In fact, I see it already. I tried a 2 and a 2, that's not going to work. So I think it's a 4x and an x. And then this is going to be a 5 and a 3. Because when I do my outers, I get a 20. When I do my inners, I get a 3. So that's what we have. But, you know, you have to try it. Again, I didn't look at the answer, so I don't know what it's going to be. Okay, well again, if this were equal to 0, we would solve that as we did the others. But here we're featuring the idea of factoring. Okay, letter D. Now as we look at this, is this in standard form? No. So we have to put it in standard form. In fact, just doing that, I already figured out how to do it. So this is going to be 5a. This is going to be an a. And this is going to be a 7 and a 1, because that's 35. Minus 1 is 34. This will be negative, and this will be positive. And if you FOIL it, it checks. Let's see what we have here. Now, for this one, as we look at it, notice this is divisible by 3. This is divisible by 3. This is divisible by 3. So I'm going to factor out a 3. Now this gives me 12x squared. And this is 3 times, I believe it's 17. And this is going to be plus 6. Okay, that looks good. So we have a 3, and now 2 sets of parentheses. Now my 12, as I look there, could be a 1 and a 12, a 2 and a 6, a 3 and a 4. Now as I look at that, again, I have no idea what it's going to be. It's not jumping out at me. So I'm going to try the 4 to 3 here. 4 and a 3. Now the 6 can be a 1 and a 6, a 2 and a 3, a 3 and a 2, a 6 and a 1. So let's see what we have here. 6. Well, if that was 21, that would work, but not. So if we try a 3 here, and a 2 there, that's 12 and 6. That's 18. Nope, I'm going to have to study this a little bit more and work on it. That's what we do. Well, as I was working this out, I was having some trouble. So there is another method of dealing with some that are very challenging, like this one. And it's called the AC method. That is written up in your textbook. And you take the A term, which is the 12 here, and multiply it by the C term, which is 6. 12 times 6 gives you 72. And then I got my prime factorization. And then out of it, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And 3 times 3 is 9. And 9 times 8 is 72. And if you notice, if you add 8 and 9 up, you get 17. So that's what we're looking for. But I was having trouble doing it. So I rewritten the 3-term trinomial into a polynomial 4-term. And now I'm going to factor by grouping. So out of this one, I'm going to take 4x. And then I get 3x minus 2. And out of here, I'm going to factor out a negative 3. And I get a 3x minus 2. So there are my common factors that we did before by grouping. 3x minus 2 and 4x minus 3. So I was kind of close to it up here. I had to switch the 3 and the 2 around eventually to get it. But there is my factorization. Now I just need to do the 3 out here. And I have factored that successfully. Sometimes you get a hard one like this. And I have a video in which I go over this method in great detail. Okay, let's go on. Number or letter F. Now as I look here, I see we can take a 2 out of every term. Let's put it over here, 2. And I could also take an x too. An x or y squared. So 2y squared. So this then gives me 7x squared plus 4x minus 3. And I think we're good. So we get 2y squared and then this in 2 parentheses. So when it's a 7 like that, that makes it a little easier. And if I put my 3 here like that, and the outers will be a plus, my inners will be a negative. And if I FOIL that, I get this, positive 7x, negative 3. Yeah, that looks good. I think I've done it. Okay, sometimes you're lucky, but again, many of these are guess and check. All right, let's go on to number 2a. Any common terms? I guess we can factor out a y to the 3rd here. So that'll give you 9y squared minus 6y minus 8. And that is all equal to 0. Now we factor our trinomial. And looks like it's going to be a 3y and a 3y. And this is going to be a 4 and a 2, it looks like. Yep, a 4 there and a 2 there. So I'm getting a 12 and a 6, and my difference is 6. This is negative, and this is plus. And again, FOIL it to check. That's good. A negative 12y, positive 6y, the difference, negative 6y. And then your last, a negative 8. Now the rule is y cubed equals 0. 3y plus 2 equals 0, or we can stick the or in there. 3y minus 4 equals 0. So here we're going to have 3 zeros for an answer. This becomes a negative 2 on this side divided by 3. This becomes a positive 4 on this side divided by 3. And there are your 3 answers. Actually, these are 3. This is to the 5th, so we should have 5 answers. 0 is used 3 times. Okay. And then in function notation, they're giving us this, in which y is that? So our basic equation is 10x squared minus 13x equals 3, but I'm going to transpose that 3, make it a negative 3, and then equal it to 0. Because in order to solve it, I have to put it in standard form. So, no common factors. Now, this is a 13. I think it's probably going to be a 10x and an x and a 3 and a 1. Yep. And let's see, this is going to be negative. Nope. So I have to work on that. Again, it's guess and check. And I didn't have the right factors. So I tried a 5 and a 2, and a 3 and a 1. So my outers are 15. My inners are 2, and the difference is 13. So that's going to work. So this will be a negative here, and this will be a positive. And again, if you have to fiddle with the signs a little bit, you can do that. Just, take your time. You want to get it right. So foiling that checks. So now it's 5x plus 1 equals 0, or 2x minus 3 equals 0. Transpose the 1, that's going to give you a negative 1, divided by 5, a negative 1/5. And this one is going to be a 3, and then divided by 2. So these are my answers for letter B. Now for something like letter C, where they want you to find the domain, remember those are x values, but you can't have any x value that makes your denominator a 0. So the strategy for that is to equate the denominator to 0 and then factor it. So this is 2x. Whenever it's a prime number, it cuts down on the number of possibilities here. So this is going to be a 5 and a 2. No. How about a 5 and a 2 this way? This is going to be 5. Nope, that's not. I'm going to have to work on it. Well, I had to fiddle around with this a little bit. And here I have an 8 and a 5, and the difference is 3. Okay. So what will my signs be? Well, the 8 needs to be a negative, and the 5 needs to be a positive. So when we equal that to 0, we get a negative 5 halves, and this is going to be x is a 4. Now remember, the rule is these are the values that are excluded. It cannot be this. It cannot be that. So what is your domain? Well, in interval, not interval, we're going to put it in set builder notation. We're saying x is such that x is all real numbers, but x cannot be a negative 5 halves or a 4. Okay? And again, you're going to have practice, and these take time. So don't say you're going to put this off. You need to work on these so that you get to master these skills. And it's practice that makes perfect. Okay.